Good day, good morning, good evening, dear audience. Here are the Dandelion reflections again. Thanks for tuning in. Today it is episode number 8, and we have something very special today, Caroline.
Yes. Good
Hello to you
morning and
too.
good day, everyone. Hi, Christopher. It's going to be an interesting discussion. I think our audience will find that very relevant because it's this time of year. So we're going to talk about the holidays and how to survive and hopefully continue to thrive during the holidays, right? Not just
Yes.
survive them, but actually go through them with some sense of peace. Yeah. And
So, I'm
right.
sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
So, what do we mean when we say holidays anyway?
Yeah, the holidays, I mean, there are so many different holidays during the winter, right? Depending on the culture and religions and specific family traditions. But in my own country of origin, we celebrate Christmas, we celebrate New Year's Eve. In the US, they celebrate Thanksgiving in a very, specific way. Like it's every last Thursday of November, and um, yeah, schools are off the week before, I mean, the same week. And so it's a big thing here. It's a big deal. So I think it's important to think about how we feel about those holidays because not everyone has the same approach or doesn't have the same meaning to everyone. But I think yeah, regardless of what people celebrate, what basically we would like to remind them is to not make that something like it's a performance that causes more pressure and stress because it should be something enjoyable and that helps them recharge. And so we
Hmm.
could go over some tips maybe or some insights from our own experiences, what we've noticed, what was challenging during those holidays and
Right.
how we can approach them differently.
I'm sorry, before we get there, I just something just popped up in my mind here, and just to prepare the scene. Um, when I was living in Germany, which is 23 years back, I remember that the the weeks and let's say 2, 3 months before Christmas, the I was living near a city, near a bigger city. Everyone got somehow very, very stressed. You couldn't get into traffic, driving downtown, finding a parking place, trying to get all the stuff that you thought you needed to give to other people or to yourself.
Right.
Everyone was aggressive and very short.
Yeah.
Uh, what's the what's the light you light
The
on
fuse,
a
they had a
dynamite?
short
Yeah,
fuse.
short fused. Yes, that's a. Do they say that in the
Yeah, we
States
say
too?
that here too. Yeah, short
Yeah,
temper, short fuse. Yeah.
right. So I was so relieved when I moved to Sweden, because everything was much more manana, slow paced. Um, and I loved that. And every time I had contact, I called to Germany or talked to friends or family. They were all saying the same thing. It's so stressful. No, I'm not going there anymore. No, I already buy everything I need to long before in October or September,
Mm.
just to. So what has this become from what the usual, the meaning should have been from the beginning? And now I'm thinking, even before religion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point because I think you're pointing out a trend here also in the US. As soon as Halloween is over, what you see in the stores immediately is Christmas decorations. And I'm like, oh my gosh, can we just go through Thanksgiving first, And so
Yeah.
that it's just it's stressful because it's a cue for people, making them believe that they're already late in their planning, in their shopping, whatever. So it stresses people out. It activates our stress response systems to have, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
the corporations, the businesses decide for us when it's time to start shopping. So I think in Germany it might be similar, and also the German culture probably has high standards of all kinds of things, And then, not to say perfectionism, from what I know about certain German people, not necessarily a bad thing, but it has to be used in the right context, right? So we have to
Exactly.
not let that rule our life. Otherwise, it becomes tyrannical. So I'm glad you saw that shift when you moved to Sweden, because it's also my perception of your country when I visited. And it seems really close to nature. I think all Scandinavian countries, or most of them, including Iceland, seem to be more focused on that. And in fact, in Iceland, I was reading recently that one of the Christmas traditions is just really giving each other books and eating chocolate and reading all day during Christmas. I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds like a dream. No shopping to do, just ordering books,
Hmm.
exchanging books, whatever. It's probably the shift towards consumerism,
Hmm.
and people want to make money, want to make profit, so they incite people to feel insecure and through advertisement, and make them believe that Christmas is all about just giving presents to each other. And if you don't give
Yeah.
enough, then you're a bad
You're
parent or friend or spouse. I mean,
you're not
giving
good enough.
present.
You're not good as you are.
Yes, and it becomes a performance. It becomes, and it's kind of it's never ending. It's just, to me, seems like a little bit aberrant, and yeah, we forget about what really matters, which is sharing, being together, and celebrating, singing, dancing, whatever, So for some people, praying, going to mass, or so yeah, I try to resist that pressure, I must say. So we
Very
can give
good.
our
Very.
own tips and strategies to then how we survive the holidays and actually make them meaningful and
Hmm.
joyful.
Before we get to that, and here's another point that I think is important, and I think we might have talked about that in our previous session. Um, the seasons, autumn and winter, all nature is going back into the roots, sending uh, energy to the roots, and uh, taking away everything that's not really needed, preparing themselves to bloom in spring and summer. So,
Mm.
okay, now next step. Uh, what can we do to get back to nature, get
Mm.
to the original meaning of these
Mm.
holidays in whatever religion or whatever culture? I think basically it has the same base meaning in every bigger religion, right?
Yeah, it's a good point. I like that you tied that to the cycles of nature, because we should follow those cycles. Those cycles, in order to be in harmony with ourselves and with each other, we need to use nature as a reminder of different cycles. And yeah, during winter, yeah, a lot of animals, creatures hibernate. So
Hmm.
we tend to retreat inside and slow down, maybe I would say a little bit. So
Oh
instead
yeah.
of increasing our pace and shopping frantically, we should actually be slowing down, right? And maybe preparing for the harsh months of winter. Winter, actually, in some Nordic
Hmm.
countries, as you know, it can be long and cold. And so, when my parents, I guess, grew up, their moms, maybe their dads too, were helping with that. But usually it was the mother. But now more dads or men are doing that. The canning food,
Oh yeah.
getting ready after the harvest. So that's an opportunity to, be in the kitchen and prepare for the food and make sure there is sufficient food for the rest of the year. And nowadays we kind of lost touch with that, because we
Hmm.
have food all year round. But I think centering ourselves towards, like, what is winter about, right? It's about slowing down. It's about, recharging, resting, and the days are shorter and certain, um so in the north especially, so we have to adapt to that, and maybe just, yeah, we spend more time indoors, but then make the best out of the time outdoors when it's daylight.
Yeah.
And I think it should continue even during the holidays. I when I was a kid, we played in the snow right before going to Christmas Eve party,
Hmm.
and I try to do that as an adult too, at least taking a walk or yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, and
Sl
noticing their nature.
right. So slowing down and becoming more aware of what the whole thing is about, anyways, uh, is something that we uh, would like to recommend so far. And I
Yes.
think that's a pretty big step already because you have to actively step out of the game that someone else is playing for you or wants you to play, right? So
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
uh that's a big thing. That's a challenge for many.
Yes, and the more we do that during the whole year, the easier it will get during
Exactly.
the holidays, right? So if we practice mindfulness, meditation, being in the moment, paying attention without judgment, staying curious, that will be easy. In fact, it will make, I think, the holidays even more enjoyable because, and that could decrease the drama, right? We were talking about that. Like when we go to the holidays, sometimes there's excess, whether it's using substances like alcohol, and people can get more disinhibited.
Hmm.
And so if we remain mindful, we drink and eat mindfully, and we're less likely to do things that are impulsive or that we are regretful about, you know.
I think in there must be one person in every family that has the tendency to go out of boundaries.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So sometimes people even have this, I don't want to go there. No, this is just they build up this stress beforehand.
Mhm.
Um, and then often, unfortunately, this is getting reality. So do you have um, about the human connection, the conversations, the communication? Um, what can people do to not get caught up in these stressful discussions, political
Mm. Oh my gosh.
discussions?
How could I forget about that? Like what's coming up? Like people were not gonna necessarily find a common ground or, so that can get tense. I can see that already. Like, yeah. Well, it's really deciding for oneself what's important in a conversation. Is it to have someone have a dialogue with you, or is it to convince each other, influence each other, or win over someone or something? I
Mm,
mean, I prefer dialogues over debates because I think sometimes it ends up just being too intellectualized in a debate, and then it's like, yeah, people feel like there should be a winner versus a loser. I don't like that. I feel like as
mm,
long as this is a conversation that brings us both further on the path of awareness, of understanding, or
mm,
that's fine. Everyone wins. But it's like we should not lose sight of the connection between the two people. If it's, friends, family, like we don't want to jeopardize the bond, but sometimes that
mm,
means like if it's a conflict of value, that's different. But it's like if it's an opinion, I mean, do we really want to alienate the person because, we disagree with their point and their argument is weak or whatever. So I feel like either we just don't go there or we just
mm.
walk in with the same intention, which is trying to understand each other's perspective and not being antagonistic or trying to make that into a battlefield, maybe
Exactly.
so
That's
this about empathy, right?
mhm.
You often mention that communicating with empathy and being mindful during that interaction.
Wonderful point, and so important that we don't build up walls
Right.
in between each other that we think we need to tear down. But how about asking, "Oh, I didn't know that. Tell me more about that."
Yes.
Or "Oh, I don't understand your point. Please let me know about it." Just not to just go against it, but to invite more to let the person that it has these adversary opinions
Yeah.
maybe reflect more about their own uh, opinion And then
Yeah.
maybe they come up with a totally different train of thought, and suddenly
Yeah.
they end up questioning their own opinion, which it would be
Yes.
much better. Then you would not need to tear down their wall. They make it themselves.
It's much better. I like that a lot, Christopher. I feel like it's all about expanding the
Hmm.
awareness and the understanding. And people tend to get so attached to their opinions. They feel like they're betraying their identity if they like think differently or let someone make them think differently. I mean, it's like opinions are just that, they're thoughts.
Hmm.
And if we are not willing to revise them, it's there's a problem, then that means they are too embedded in our identity, and also
Hmm.
that's a construct. I mean, it's an illusion, right?
It is,
So
yeah.
we're not our ideas, we're not our opinions. And so yeah, really thinking about using the thoughts and ideas and opinions as an exercise of expansion of awareness, and also
Mm.
understanding human condition. Oh, now I understand how their brain works by having this opinion. Okay, I learned something today. I have not changed my opinion. We still disagree, but it's like, okay, now I get something about the human condition that I did
Exactly.
right before walking into that interaction. So
Hmm.
that's a plus.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned substance abuse. Let's let's name it that. Uh,
Right.
is there what good ideas do you have for someone that would like to not fall into this trap
Mhm.
to do like
Yeah.
everyone else around the table?
Yes, I that's a really good question. Because when we are caught in this like pressure and the I would say the Christmas stress or whatever stress, holiday stress, the stress response systems are activated, we might be more likely to just resort to substances to calm ourselves down, whether it's like alcohol, some people smoke, some people drink more coffee because they need to stay awake, but it's like but they do that mindlessly. It becomes automatic. So that's a problem. So making sure
Mindlessly,
that
that's a
people,
very good point there. Hmm.
yeah, so mind
Sorry.
we have to be mindful and not mindless, and like because and also people are cooking, but then they might be drinking while they cook, or it becomes they are not present at everything they do. They try to
Hmm.
multitask, to do too many things. That can get out of control. So whenever we do something, we have to sit down and do it. And we need to practice in our everyday life, even like eating breakfast. And I know I was guilty of that this morning. I was eating breakfast, standing up, making my lunch at the same time. It's because I didn't sleep well last night and I was
Oh.
get a little bit behind. And also sometimes I finish my coffee while making my bed. But ideally, and I notice that, and I don't beat myself up for that, but I say, okay, I'm doing it. I just need to be careful, but I should ideally be sitting down. And I try as much as I can to just finish my breakfast. I don't even read or anything. I just eat breakfast usually. So same should go for Christmas. Like we're preparing food, we're preparing food. Yeah, we can talk, we can put music on, that's fine, but not doing a ton of things at the same time. Then we're done. Okay, we can whether wrap presents or organize an activity, and then we sit down, we eat. We don't do something else. We eat and we listen
Hmm.
to each other. And so doing one thing at the time, preferably, and that can lead to that minimizes the risk of doing excesses, in consumption
Hmm.
of any kind. And
Right.
also when we have stress and our mood are not regulated, that makes us more fragile too, more likely to maybe resort to compensatory behaviors. So we
Hmm.
need to pause again and maybe have a moment of meditation, just go sitting outside or sweep the leaves, For me, it gets me out of my head just to do something physical. Yeah.
Yeah. And just remember what this holiday these holidays are about. Because when
Mhm.
you're stressing out, when you try to make this dinner even better than last year's dinner, or even better than I don't know, Aunt
Yeah.
Sarah's dinner, it's not a competition. It's not a race.
No, I
But
love it.
we
That's the
get
word I was thinking about. Yeah.
it's and I have someone I remember from my own upbringing. My mother was wanted to have everything perfect that day,
Mhm.
and when
Mhm.
something didn't go the way it needed to go, the sauce hollandaise or
Yeah.
whatever thousands of
Yeah.
sauces she fixed, and
Yeah.
so she
Mm,
was devastated. Well, not devastated.
yeah.
That's too hard, but she really it took hard on her, and
Yeah.
that's not about it, right? It's about being together, becoming aware and
Yes.
mindful, thankful, grateful
Yes.
about all these things that have been that you have
Mm,
uh,
mm,
reaped
yes.
and that you can actually be happy about and not, oh no, this didn't work, that I got the wrong present. I oh no,
I know.
tons of things.
Focusing on the outcome, you gave an excellent example. I mean, so many people make themselves miserable by focusing on the outcome, and I actually applaud mistakes. I remember cooking something with one of my sons, Andreas. He wanted to make profiterole. And I said, I've never made that. Let's try it. And I'm like, what's the worst that can
Oh.
happen? We'll mess up. We'll start over again. We messed up the first batch, but the second one was great. We had so much fun doing that. And he was so happy. So it's like for me, I don't want to do things a certain way and put myself into that kind of really limiting path. It's like, let's be open to the experience. We can
Yeah,
still learn something, even if
wonderful.
it's not perfect, right? So I really, yeah, refuse to try to strive for perfection because it can never be attained, right? Anyway, it's an illusion. And so,
Yes.
but I strive for excellence, or at least being mindful and learning through the process.
Hmm.
We can never lose. So
Exactly.
yeah, so I mean, yeah, I hear you. It's very common and it's often seen as a competition and we compare each other. So that's another thing that's
Oh
dangerous.
yeah. Hmm.
You're comparing my Christmas tree is not as beautiful. I didn't put as many lights outside. Well, I don't care. I'm going to do it my own way and then it it doesn't matter. It's going to be unique. It's going to be me. I don't want to try to use another person's standard to
Hmm.
kind of have my own celebration or ways to do things. So yeah, I actually welcome things as they come. I don't really try to have a rigid schedule or plan. So, and yeah, it's like anything else. It's another day in the year. So let's not make ourselves sick for that. Really.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
mentioned before we started the recording, you mentioned the unpacking.
Yeah.
How did you do this, or how
Right.
do you
So
do this?
yeah, what I noticed like over the years, my own Christmases through my children's, etc., and all in between my cousins, whatever, it's like there was a almost an exponential increase in the number of presents. And that's
Hmm.
kind of alarming, right? It's like our need to get stuff is like a black hole. We will never have enough.
Hmm.
So, but when does it end? And then I realized like feeling bored in some Christmases when they were kids, and it was like one after the other, and they were unwrapping and not even caring about what they had. It's like immediately, oh, to the next, to the next. I'm like, that can't be. This is not being mindful. This is not being grateful. So
Hmm.
for me, it was very important that my kids learn to slow down. And my kids are very active and when they were little, especially very spirited and enthusiastic. But they were very receptive. It was actually, I think, the first Christmas of the pandemic or right before. And I said, I read this present. I don't know if I said that in those words, but like really I had a lot of fun wrapping the present, putting things from outside branches of trees, etc. And I want you to develop or unwrap your present slowly, one at a time, and just
Hmm.
really look at what you have. And they were so attentive, and they were like,
Aha.
okay, that was a new experience. They liked it, and they were like, they did it, and I think it was so meaningful and powerful, and
Hmm.
there was such joy in them, and yeah, they didn't rush to the next one. And that makes the fun and the joy last longer. So we should all
Yes,
do that.
really.
And I'm the same when I am wrap presents. I'm a little bit obsessive, I must say. That's one of my quirks. It's like because I like to reuse the wrapping. So I just carefully remove
Ah.
the scotch tape. I don't like to tear the paper. So I just unwrap it and it's like sacred. It's like, well, someone wrapped it and
Hmm.
I'm going to unwrap it very slowly and appreciate each step of the way, of the wrapping
Wonderful.
process. So yeah, so that's kind of my own, I would say. ritual or yeah, mindful ritual around the present, unwrapping or wrapping
Yeah. That's a
tradition. Yeah.
wonderful step to come back to slowliness. Slowliness? Is that a word? Or did I just make
Yeah,
that
I
up?
think it is. Yeah. Slowness. Yeah, we exactly slowing down. That's
Hmm.
the holidays, even though there's this pressure to accelerate, put too much on our plate, literally and metaphorically. No, it should we should also slow down. It should actually be a time of slowing down. You know,
Hmm.
we're off during Christmas. We're not working. Some people are, but those who are not, that's vacation. You should slow down. You should recharge.
Yes.
There's no agenda. There shouldn't be.
There shouldn't be exactly.
Just a one
Uh,
of having fun and finding joy in being with each other.
exactly. Um, so I my experiences were similar. We had this
Hmm.
tradition that we started with one we I think we were like three, four, five, six persons around the Christmas tree.
Hmm.
Uh, and one started unwrapping their first present, and
Yeah.
then appreciating, thanking, and then next person, and then it went the same way around
Um,
in a circle. And I really liked that a lot because it really uh, it reminded I wanted to say it forced us to become slow, but no, there's not it wasn't a force. It was a deliberate. We want to take this slow. We want to appreciate these
yeah.
presents. And like you, I always took myself a lot of time to open, and we didn't reuse the paper, but
Mhm.
still, I didn't want to just
Yeah.
tear it up. I
Yeah.
really opened it very thoughtfully and slow, and
Mm.
it was a wonderful experience. Yeah, and
I love
then
that.
it's you could really see the happiness in each other's faces, and especially when you could feel the thoughtfulness in behind those presents or gifts.
Yes, I like that. One person at a time, one gift at a time.
Mm,
Everyone benefits from that, from looking at someone being surprised or happy. And
yeah,
yes, that's wonderful. Yes.
right. And it teaches so much. Like you mentioned your children. It teaches them so much to appreciate, really appreciate what this
Yes.
is about. It's very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Right. Um, what else could we think? Consumerism. We
Hmm.
actually had that. Is there anything else we could
Mm.
mention?
Yeah, I'm not afraid to say that I will reuse things to give away. I'm not going to rush to a store if I have it at home, just for
Hmm.
the sake of saying, I bought it and this is
Yes.
it, your gift. If I already have the equivalent at home that someone gave me already or I had bought before and I'm not using it, I have no problem with that. And some people do that to me too. I love it. It's about
Mhm.
really being sustainable, right? And
Yes.
I try to also minimize the use of materials like paper. I can sometimes make my own with paper bags, old brown bags, or I will use dish towels to wrap a present because the person can reuse the dish towel.
Oh yeah.
Dish towel with a ribbon or so simple tricks like that, that gives me a lot of satisfaction, you know.
Hmm.
Really trying first to look at what I have because we tend to accumulate so much,
Hmm.
really. Um, Eventually we don't have things, but the things have us because we have so many. It's like the things
Thank
control
you.
our life, right?
Yes.
So I try to be mindful of that as well. So that's kind of my own approach. And I try to be mindful if I have to buy, and I do, I buy, I try to be mindful and I try to not also make that like a big strain on my budget neither, because some people
Hmm.
will have additional debts just for Christmas. It shouldn't be. I mean, there was a time when people were saying, well, I had no money that year, so I made, you know, jars of jam for everyone. Okay, that's fine. Or I knitted something, crocheted something, whatever, you know, whatever your talent is. I think why not? It's actually a personalized gift. It's even better. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
so that would be my approach. It's kind of my philosophy. So yeah. And yeah, I I
it's not
don't like
about money. It's not about the
no,
price of things.
no,
It's about the value. Those are two
exactly.
different things, and many people forget that price and value.
Thank
Uh,
you.
and
That's true.
it's you can buy something really expensive with a high price, but it's of no value to the one that you give it to. And the
Yes.
other way around, small things or uh, I remember receiving this um, towel from you when you
Yes.
were here, and it really means a lot. It meant a lot
Yes.
to, or still means a lot to me because I was out of them, and I really loved it because I could really use it very well. So
Yeah.
that was very thoughtful. And then even better if you have some gift you're good at crafting things, then that's even better. And
Yes.
you put your hours, your lifetime into this gift to give it
Yes.
to someone else. That's you can't put a price tag on that because it's really it comes from the heart.
It does. It's way more meaningful. And yeah, and then you mentioned like what the towel, and I remember also the tin, and I have it in my kitchen, and it's again something so meaningful because there's a history, and I love these things. It's like
Yes.
so it's really tailored to the person's needs. I mean,
Hmm.
I think it's very special. I think it's, very meaningful. So it's like we read each other's minds by the way by doing
Yes.
some of these things somehow.
Exactly.
So yeah, it really, and then making things when we have time and we have the ability and the materials, it can be just making a card and making or putting flowers together, making an arrangement like that, or baking cookies.
Oh
I've
yeah.
done that with
Great.
neighbors too. Like the morning of Christmas, I was like, oh, I have all these cookies, and I just put that in a bag and with the ribbon, a card, and that was it. And
Hmm.
it's nice kitchen smell, nice flavors. That's packaged, and yes, you can't attach a price to that. It's not expensive like a car or a piece of electronic, whatever. I don't care. It's just it's what matters is the intention and the time and effort, I think
Hmm.
we put into things. And yeah, it's the present is more like a vehicle for a message like, hey, I thought about you. I thought you might enjoy
Whoa.
that.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Exactly. That's something to remember.
Yeah.
It's like an envelope with a message in it.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. So
Yeah.
before we wrap up, Caroline, is
Yeah.
there something we would like to tell our audience
Thank you,
and give it
Christopher.
on their way?
Yeah, we talked about gifts and interacting with people and exchanging opinions. And there are a lot of people who actually feel alone or are actually alone, right, over the
Hmm.
holidays. And that can be a painful time. So we want people to know that even though they are physically or feel physically alone, left out, that they are not, that we are connected somehow, and that they should reach out if they want to resources if they need to talk,
Right.
um, or they can journal or actually really nurture themselves even more, whether it's like
Hmm.
watching a movie, reading, making a nice meal. There's no wrong way to celebrate
Right.
the holidays, right? Lighting up a candle. I mean, there's no wrong way. And people go through some stuff, some transitions all year round. So
Hmm.
that doesn't go on pause. Grief doesn't go on pause over Christmas. Some people might feel that painful because they have lost someone, or
Hmm.
in the recent past, and Christmas is more painful. So I want people to know that we hold them dear in our hearts, and we have a special thought for them, and there are people also available to help if they want to, and they should reach out. I invite people to reach out, and maybe there's someone else feeling exactly the same way, and maybe they
Yes.
can connect. So but whatever works for people, there's no wrong way. There shouldn't be any
Right.
rules for celebration. The only rule should be to have fun and be genuine and spontaneous and mindful.
Exactly. And if you
So
know someone that might be lonely over the holidays, and just show them their appreciation. Or maybe if you want to, why not invite them over?
Yeah.
And they will enrich your life with
Yes.
their experiences and with their stories. I'm sure it will be again a win for all of you guys. That would
Yes.
be wonderful. And
I
again,
agree.
it will be a gift that where the value is much higher than the price. If you make someone else happy that might have been lonely,
I like that,
even if
Christopher.
it's just for 10 minutes or just to talk over a cup of coffee or tea.
Yes. Oh,
Mm.
yes. That is so meaningful. And that can make a difference. I love it.
Mm.
Yes. That's a great idea.
So, dear listeners and viewers and audience, thank you for joining us today.
Thank
And
you.
we wish you a wonderful, peaceful, Caroline, you chime in.
Wonderful, peaceful. Yes. I would say joyful, enlightening. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
holidays.
enlightening. Yes. Yes.
And
And
just
mindful. Yeah.
as we mentioned, say, slow down and
Yes.
remember what these holidays are about
Mhm.
in the base, in from the from the beginning. No, well, God, I lost my words. Help me.
The sense or the essential
Yes,
or
wonderful.
what matters. Yeah. The
Yeah,
core, yeah, value or yeah, meaning. Yes, of
yeah,
Christmas. You
that's
may, yeah.
what's really important, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
I
wonderful.
love that. Thank you so much. What a uplifting talk we had, and as usual, and it's
I
yeah,
hope it is. Yeah.
yeah.
All the best to you, and hope you will be our guest next time. And feel free to like and subscribe and share and comment, and have a great time. Bye bye.
Bye. Happy holidays, dandelions.
Yeah, happy holidays to
Everyone.
all of you.
Bye bye.